I think it's about time for us to begin, so I've closed the door. I'd like to begin by wishing each of you here in the room, everybody, a healthful new year and a happy 2025.
Thank you.
Among other things, if we are healthy and happy, we'll be able to serve our responsibilities with this committee even better.
For 18.
Today, Janet Corder's had some illness. Some of you may know that already. So she's not able to be here. Geordie has been kind enough to step in her place, and Janet was responsible and took that fact coming out of some hospitalization that she wouldn't be here to Geordie. We got that set up without me having any part of that. So Geordie, would you call the roster?
Yes. Devine,
Yeah.
Rudder.
Here.
Price.
Here.
Robinson Walker.
Here.
Stack.
Here.
Thompson.
Here.
Lear.
Here.
You're good to go.
All present and correct. I assume you've all had time to read the minutes of our last meeting 2 months ago. Are there any additions to that or corrections to that? I know I went through it one time. Okay, well, no additions or corrections. We'll accept that as approved and move to the residents forum. Do we have any,
You do not have any resident speakers.
and nobody on Zoom?
Nope.
Okay.
So you can.
Good, that's easy to do. Let's see here. So I've got to make a report here, and I don't have very much to say, except I'd like to take a moment just to say that I was very much appreciated by the residents that we're able to get the construction at the pool completed, not only by the estimated date in January, but earlier.
It was wonderful.
Your staff, Ann told me how your staff all worked to get that tidied up and cleaned up and ready for opening, and I think the swimmers as well as everybody else enjoyed that. I also shared with Ann my observation that hopefully when we get the pool bottom corrected, we can have it at a time after Hillside is reopened so that we're not left without any kind of pool to make available to our swimmers. And so I'd compliment all my staff if you relay that, and you, I'd appreciate that.
Absolutely.
And otherwise, we're down to the directors.
Oh. Let's share my screen here. This one. Yes, so the director's report, it's a little brief, only because we're kind of in the process of getting capital budgets approved. And those are really kind of the big items I like to talk about here. So everybody, I think, is aware that the Tice Pool roof replacement was complete a couple of weeks ahead of schedule. And thank you for acknowledging the staff effort, because we were kind of in contact. It was about like a little over a week of going back and forth with the facilities team, with Jackie's team. And because we had to like do this switch, and custodial team as well, just to get everything kind of, prepped and ready. Because it was the construction that we had to clean after the construction and put everything back. And the team was a trooper, and they really hustled to get it done. So we appreciate that. But yes,
I just wonder if I could kind of pile on the appreciation here.
Certainly.
Yeah, because, whatever you all had to do, the swimmers really appreciated it a lot. And one of the things a lifeguard told me was that the custodial staff also really helped. So what I want to put on the record is the acknowledgement of all the staff really had to help to get this done, and just how really grateful we all are. Thank you.
Checking on them frequently, and that all of them were in there at the same time, just doing different things and getting repairs done. So it was like great group.
Yeah.
You're on track.
Please pass on our collective appreciation. Thank you.
Thank you so much.
and the guards were happy knowing that the switch would go on and they could finally report inside for duty.
Yeah.
So I think they were as happy as the swimmers. Great. And so, I don't know why this is doing this. I want to these all up at the same time. Sorry about that. And so just so you know, we're in the process of proposing our capital budget. And we had the last at today's meeting of the planning committee, they made their kind of final recommendation, the package that's gonna be moving forward through finance and the board for the next 2 months. And so within that, there are 3 projects which impact the fitness center and pool. So the Tice Pool resurfacing, I think everybody knows that we actually had that under contract for this year. We had a real issue with the vendor, and so we canceled the contract with them. And we had to rebid it. So we are going to be bidding it out. I've had input for some people, like really about, like, let's not do it right away. We just got over a closure. Let's wait for months when we do have the outdoor pools open. So we will take all that under consideration. And that was one of the issues we were having with the prior vendor, that we wanted to make sure it was a continuous, uninterrupted closure at the hottest part when people were typically outside anyway, and they weren't committing, and we were getting like no response. And the concern was that they were gonna do something disruptive and extend closure time, which was not, so basically, even working with the vendors, your needs are in mind, that's very much part of it. So it was very, it was articulated even clearer with consequences in the rebid of the project, and we found a group that really seems wonderful to be working with our schedule, with our needs. So we need to get a couple of options for windows for that, and we can, I'll probably bring those back just so people can understand, like, because you're balancing vendors' availability and our needs, but it really looks like we'll have good partners with them. So that funding is moving ahead as a recommendation for this year. For the skylight replacement, I think I had mentioned, so if you go into the gym, everybody knows where this skylight is. That's over like on the way into the aerobic studio, right? If you go into the fitness center. So that is part of the building, which was part of the original construction. So when they renovated everything, it was intact. It was kind of this cool architectural feature. So the thought was to preserve it, because sometimes that's what we do. But the seals are really getting to that point where they may fail. And so we need to replace it. Replacing like to like isn't an option. It actually, if you were to do that, it's actually very costly because of changes in materials and building codes and whatnot. So we actually need to redesign it. Okay, so this year will be the redesign year, and then we want to do it as early as we can in 2026, do the replacement. So everybody hang on tight for that one, but it's going to be a phased process.
Just a clarification.
Yeah.
And, is there a possibility to open any of that part to get air through there in hot weather? Or is it always closed?
They're closed. They're always
I
closed.
was not sure.
Yeah, and actually, it's a conditioned space, so we don't, like during the summer, it could be inefficient air conditioning, so we wouldn't want to be like, oh, let's pop the open, because then that changes that whole balance in chemistry. So that's a little bit of the issue with that, but I do want to talk about, you're mentioning all the different teams. So the teams that helped on the pool, it's like custodial, aquatics, some of the fitness folks too, and the facilities and IT, right? Okay. So they're always working together on different projects. And I'm sorry, I'm suffering from cold medicine haze. I totally lost my train of thought.
We've never.
I was
heard
gonna
of
talk about
it.
facilities, I know I heard it.
Okay.
So facilities, and let me tell you, like, they all really have their superpowers. Our facilities team right now, they're extraordinary. And so we have Jordan, who tends to be like he's an electrician, and he has saved us so much money and has created more efficient repairs. I know sometimes when the spa's down, whatever, it's like, oh my God, but to have somebody in-house that can do that by getting the parts versus you have a service person, they diagnose it, and then they got to order the part. Then you got to make another appointment. So it actually is a more efficient repair that we're able to have by having the expertise in-house. Then there were 2 other guys, Sal and Jose, amazing carpenters. Jose is also a really good electrician. So then we hired this new guy, Zach. Zach's expertise just happens to be HVAC. So we've been having him kind of take a look and see how we can like really maximize. So it's now we have really good vendors we've been working with that know our facilities. And this system in particular is something which is, it's a industry standard for this type of space, but our space is wonky, right? So it's good, so we're gonna have like Zach take a look at stuff too, see if he can work with our vendor, like make any recommendations to maximize airflows, because there are certain times of the year it gets a little stale in there. I guess that's the best way to put it, right? Right, and it feels like, open a window. But, there's something about the airflow, which I think that we wanna, take a look at. So anyway, just wanted to let you know about the team that really it takes to make all these facilities really comfortable and operable. Okay, so then with the air handler control, so the Tice Pool air handler control is actually part of our machinery and equipment budget, which is going for its second reading at the end of this month. So once that, and hopefully it'll be approved without any further reductions. Once that's approved, there's a huge, like if you're swimming in the pool, almost that entire wall that backs, the backside of the fitness center, if you will. Okay, almost that entire wall, you can enter it from the back. I don't know if you've ever seen it. It's this giant, like room-size air handler. It's this amazing piece of equipment. And the control board, which I wish I could blow this up, which I can't do. It's a very old school, like open circuitry type of control board. And from the time this was installed to now, there's been many changes with technology. And so this is a bit old school. You can't go and like regulate it. I don't want to say it's like a thermostat, but like the newer boards are more like that where you can regulate it. And so we want to get in there as early as we can in the year to really address that, upgrade it, because this is going to tell us really with the repaired roof. And if we follow the recipe of when you're supposed to open it and open certain doors for airflow, whatever, it's going to really tell us, okay, so this is our new baseline. And then see, if it's kind of one of those things where we want to look at improving airflow, doing something different, that becomes another capital project request. But this is a really big piece of that environment. So we're pretty excited to be able to tackle that. Because my understanding was shortly after the pool was created, it had something which was going to regulate a couple of times a year, but they did something, like some permanent change to it that kept it static. And I think that's been a lot of the problem of the discomfort in the pool. So time will tell. Crazy projects, amazing projects, but that's what's coming up. A lot of times when we have this, we talk about staffing. I didn't put anything in here. Jackie has it in her report. Crunch. So that's all I really had for some of the bigger items. Does anybody have any other questions about capital equipment, things like that?
I have a question.
Yes.
You mentioned again the resurfacing of the pool this year. And by this year, do you mean 25 or do you mean fiscal?
So our budget years are calendar years. So it is January through December.
Okay,
Yeah.
you.
So we're probably looking at it like October, November.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
October tends to be hotter, but we'll try to figure that
Yeah,
out.
thank you.
Although July was pretty hot last year.
What's their anticipated number of days that we'll need for them to?
They think it's
Take that.
about a month.
I don't know.
Yeah, so, the last vendor, it was a 4-week process, and that seems about typical for this size, this size facility. When I know with Fairfield, it was a similar, multi-pools. It was contiguous, but about the same surface here. It was about a month process.
Interesting. Okay, I didn't make any acknowledgement of any correspondence or announcements. But
Oh, I'm so
I
sorry.
think, Jory, you didn't receive anything that would fit in that pattern, did you?
No.
Okay, thank you. Well, I wanted to ask about some of the organizations so that I better understand it with regard to clubs using the facilities. And so since Jackie's here, can you include that in your contribution today?
We actually wanted to do a full report next month.
Okay.
And the reason for
I can
that
wait.
is,
We just had finished up reservations and making sure we had everything allotted and collecting all their information. So for 2025,
Yeah.
so I mean, we could have a fuller report.
so as you can imagine, so I think if any of you are in other types of clubs, the room reservations process had a really big change, right? And so there was some groups that were getting free use and other people having same use, were paying fees, whatever, because there's been a shakeup. So we have a lot of people that are trying to make use of the fitness center, which would be inappropriate. The fitness center it's truly for community use programs. I don't think you'd get one person disappointed in the increase of classes. one of the negotiations, and she'll talk about it in the operations report, is a gain in time in the gym to hold classes, because we need bigger space, right? These classes are really
Yes,
popular.
yes, yes.
We want to be able to sign up like twice the amount of people who've been signing up for some of them, pretty close to that. And we want more time to do that. So really, a lot of the work that Jackie and Adam have been doing will continue. But so clubs can kind of create stable processes. We want to work with them annually right now so they can put their schedules together. Because a lot of time they have instructors and, pickleball has their different trainers for the different levels come in. And so we wanted to go through that with the clubs and then, so now she can put together a presentation on what the outcome has been, and kind of like the look ahead. Right, so that'll be a fun
So
report.
you're gonna make a comment now?
Oh,
You're gonna
my
do it.
staffing update, yeah.
Because then I can feed some questions if you don't answer them.
Okay.
in your
Yeah. And
presentation.
you can also talk about what you'd like to see too in the report if you, all right, I can do this so people can follow along if they want to. This is all the word stuff you can just talk about. Oh, it's all the boring stuff.
Yeah, so with the staffing updates, we've been very busy interviewing applicants for both the admin assistant for the front desk, the fitness desk, as well as a part-time trainer, which would be a part-time regular trainer, which would be replacing M, who recently retired. And we're happy to announce we've concluded that. We've had a little update since we wrote this, but we've selected some candidates to move forward with for both positions, and we should be hearing back from them
Really soon.
very soon.
I signed one of 2 offers today, so.
Okay. So much progress on that since I last wrote it. I
Right.
just recently wrote this, it's already changed. And in terms of programming, we were able to revise the gym schedule to gain back some time for Matt Pilates class, which I said mid-January, but it'll probably be closer to the end of this month to get them in. And this will allow a larger class size for 3 days a week. That's a class that's consistently fully booked out. People are on the wait list. They're pretty much screaming to get into this class, yes. So, yeah, Bob's very popular. So that will be a change there. And then also there's about a 30-minute gap between when pickleball gets out and his class. So there's a 20-minute window where we can, we're planning to hold some pop-up cardio classes here and there. And so we can change them out frequently, get people moving in different ways. And that will be just drop in. They won't have to pre-register for that. And so we have other classes that's around that time. So if Adam finishes up one of his classes, like, hey, meet me downstairs. We're going to do a quick cardio class. If you want to tack on an extra couple minutes of exercise. The fitness trainers have they've arranged their 2025 schedules to add more time to the floor, to engage with residents and offer tips and demos on how to use the machines, and all the equipment in there. This also adds safety in monitoring the floor activity. They can scan the floor much more. If they see anybody doing something dangerous or using something inappropriately, they can step in and let them know how to use it correctly. Also, if there is an accident, they're quicker to respond to that accident and get help faster. And we're also adding more free group orientations to specific areas of the gym floor. So so that we can offer them more instruction on how to use the machines, get them moving in there. These are free drop-in, so they just have to check in with the desk, and then one of our trainers will show them around the floor and explain how to do it, demo, suggest different settings that they could use that would be appropriate. So just our goal with that is just to get more people in there comfortable using it on their own and getting mobile again. And then our fitness management team, we met with every single club president and sometimes vice presidents. And we individually reviewed and discussed their allocated time and space in the fitness center. So we've concluded that. And then we've confirmed all the club use for 2025, collected all their signed acknowledgements and collecting their rosters of their club members, as well as information for all information for their instructors that they have, just so that if anything happened, we would have all their information on file ready to call. And it's more efficient that way. For aquatics, we were able to provide surveillance outdoors in the rain or shine. There wasn't too many. We were very lucky there wasn't too many rainy days, but
It was really cold out, wasn't it, out there?
there were some cold snaps in the mornings.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was very cold in the mornings. But I provided them with a lot of rain gear. We bought them some new hog togs and they stayed bone dry out in that. So we didn't encounter too many rainy days, but the exercise classes, they actually, they still went rain or shine. We even have some pictures of people with umbrellas. So they had fun with it. However, we were happy to switch gears and move back indoors to the Tice Pool once construction concluded. And it was ahead of schedule, like we previously said, about mid-December. So again, to acknowledge all the different divisions, aquatics, fitness facilities, and IT divisions worked tirelessly to prepare for reopening of the pool. And we were able to reopen on the 16th, 2 weeks earlier than anticipated. So that was a great feat. This included moving and reinstalling office equipment, sound systems, pool equipment, power washing, deep cleaning of the pools and walls and floors, and some tile work and repair. The reopening was just in time for a major storm to roll in. And so we saw nothing but happy faces and smiles and thankful graces. So it was a very happy day.
New stuff.
Yes. And so shortly before the new year concluded, we got our delivery of new fitness machines and equipment. So just highlighting the 6 pieces that we got. The first one was the Nautilus seated leg press, and that works the quads, the glutes, and hamstrings. The tilted foot plate makes it easier to use for those with ankle mobility issues. The second one we got was the Nautilus seated calf raise, and that works the calves in a seated position, allowing the user to load the resistance with plates, making the exercise more accessible to those who have a hard time exercising when using their full body weight.
Is this the one that you modified with the,
We put grip, we had to get some grip tape for that one to put around
Where the feet go.
because it was a little slippery, so quick buy, and it was easy just to, it's peel and stick paper, so just quick modification there. The Nordic curl bench, sorry, I'm getting tongue twisted. That holds the user's lower legs in place and allowing them to work their hamstrings. The chest rest is adjustable, and that allows the user to choose how difficult their exercise is.
I got the wrong. Wrong picture.
No, that was
That's it? Okay.
Yeah, so the lower the chest rest, the harder the exercise is. Next one is the Stairmaster Hit Mill X, which allows one to work on the strength, power, cardio, and endurance all at once on a self-propelled treadmill-like machine. So there's no settings where you adjust the speed or anything. You're simply moving it by your own power. The resistance on the belt can be set with a lever, so that the users may choose how difficult they would like the exercise to be. The machine also allows for the option to load plates on the sides to simulate a farmer carry, which will also work on posture. So it looks like it's cool. You're doing like a little wheelbarrow carry and push, yeah. The next one is the abs bench, and it's a flat line and loadable with plates, plate weights, so that you can choose your resistance on that one. And the last piece of equipment we got was a Hampton multipurpose rack, which is rated to hold a heavy load of exercise equipment, and it's now holding our medicine balls, sandbags, and some more of the bands. That replaced the old cart that we had that didn't have the load bearing that it was supposed to carry those items, and we called it the leaning tower of pieces. So we were happy to see that one go. So the purchase replaced 5 pieces of our most outdated equipment, or less used. The old machines were purchased by a company that refurbishes and resells fitness equipment. And so we're happy to know that they will have a second life in one way or another, and we're doing our part to recycle.
I read quite a bit of that announcement there in the newspaper, so I assume you transmit that to the paper?
Yeah, we try to put blurbs into the newspaper weekly, regarding either new things happening in the gym, new classes, announcements. So we try to put out a blurb at least every session. Yeah.
How did you choose those 5 particular pieces of equipment?
We had a lot of talks with our trainers.
Input from the individual?
Yeah, so we emailed over, because they use, they're out on the floor the most.
They're observing what's happening all the time too.
They know what their clients need. They're really in tune with what, so the goal was to pick equipment that served a broader range of movement, and that were adjustable, so many people could use it, and they could select what setting to put it in. And so things that weren't so difficult, but were easy to use, but.
Because they replaced a few real specialized pieces that weren't being used.
Yeah, that maybe was either harder or
Yeah.
not many people used much at all, but these ones offered a broader range of motion, and so it served more people than the previous
In
ones.
the case of the leg press, for example, there's always a backup. You have to
Yeah,
wait for that. So by bringing in a separate piece with the same kind of use, it makes it more
well, and
available.
I've gotten feedback recently too, like many people are saying yeah, we like this new one better too, it's
Yeah,
much
sure.
easier to use, so.
Part of that's quite natural though.
Yeah.
Oh, it's new, so I have to go and get that. Well, I realize that when I read the newspaper, there's a lot of information that you must be transmitting as these changes take place.
Mhm.
Now, getting back for a moment to my understanding about how the clubs work, was that an annual event where you sit down with the club representatives and review what they're doing, or?
Yeah, it's our first time doing that, so.
I was just gonna say, I know when I met with Jackie, because I'm one of the club presidents, and I told her that this is the first time I've been involved with this club for 10 years, and it's just the
That's
first
how many
time we've
years,
ever
yeah.
sat down with us and really talked about the schedule.
Very timely, yeah.
When we came back from the renovation, we were just told, we're changing your time. There weren't, and they didn't change it much, but still, there was no discussion, there was no sitting down.
Input.
Yeah, so this was great. This
Yeah.
really was very helpful.
They gave us a chance to really connect with all the different clubs and get a more stronger sense of what they need and the space that they use and what they're using it for. So we really appreciated the time with them and making that connection with everybody. And now we see them. We know who we are now.
Well, you made reference to speaking with the clubs and making sure that the leaders of exercise programs for the club members know what they're doing and they're consistent with our staff exercise leaders.
Oh, no, we were just,
You know, that. I think that's important to have a kind of a standard there.
oh, no, I think I mentioned that we were collecting all their roster, in addition to collecting their rosters, we were getting the information from any of their specific,
Participants.
they're participants, just so we have a roster in case there's any emergency or we needed to contact or there was some type of conflict, we have their information. But also their instructors, anybody that was leading their activities, in a formal setting, instructional setting, we wanted to know who they were in case something happened with them.
Well, they would need to know what the procedures are for first aid or for emergencies.
That would be up to the
Visiting
clubs, I think.
instructors would need to know that unless they've been there for years at a time.
Yeah, I believe that would be up to because the clubs, yeah, they're not staff, but,
No.
yeah.
They're not
Yeah.
staff. Even more important, since they're not staff.
So so basically, I mean, and kind of we're getting into a robust conversation where we wanted to focus something, and we can talk about that, but very similar to the room reservation function, the club use of the fitness center
Right.
has been wildly unmanaged, right? So there's like no structure, no whatever. And it's not that there aren't protocols, but even like having the roster on file, you know, those things that weren't being done. So we're putting that together and we're shaping it. Now, clubs really aren't in the fitness center when there's not staff there. And quite honestly, when there's something happening and there's staff there, the protocol is really to call staff. Is to call
Yeah.
staff. So we don't really, right now, we really don't provide training to the groups. It would be wise if the club said, yeah, maybe your instructors are, you know, having first aid training is great. But quite honestly, when you're in the facility, there's a little bit of an expectation that we would provide that. And you're under really great care in the fitness center because lifeguards, you know, they're trained as first responders. So they have a little bit higher level than just traditional first aid training too. So that's why I mean, it hasn't been a problem to date, to my understanding. But certainly when we talk about stuff next week, it'd be great to talk about.
I have a quick question. Just curious about what clubs use, what do they do when they come to the fitness center? Are they doing fitness activities? Are they doing just a general meeting kind of thing?
Yeah, it's mostly,
It has to be
fitness,
activities.
yeah, it's an activity that's like fitness related, so some of it could be dance, some of it could be, like Tai Chi's a club that's in there.
It's a
Yeah.
Chinese
Qigong.
We,
Yeah, it's
yeah,
very
Qigong, we have pickleball, of course, and we have a basketball club, there's,
Jazzercise.
jazzercise, we have our
Are you
silver
jazzercise or
song.
Zumba? I'm so sorry, so sorry, different.
But there are a number of different dance programs.
Yes.
Folk dance and
Mhm.
Chinese dragon dance and so on and so on. It's quite comprehensive, I think.
Yes, there's something, a little bit of something in there for everybody that I would say it's very eclectic.
Let me ask, since I think we have enough time, let me ask a few questions about staff, just that I want to understand a bit better. For example, Virginia Dare, I don't think I recognize her from the photographs on the board there at all, but she seems to be teaching a few classes, and is she part-time? Is that the?
Yes, so we have a handful, we have about 3 people that are fitness instructors rather than fitness trainers. And so they have their core group of classes that they teach only. And so you'll see them here and there into the schedule. But
Joe Nash is another one, for example.
oh no, she's a fitness
She's a
trainer.
trainer.
Is she?
Yeah, she specializes in reformer.
I see that. She's got all those classes listed, yeah. Yeah, it's quite a lot. And then there's some that come and do specialized things like Kathy Steen has been successful. I've seen her classes because I'm in the pool sometimes when she's there.
Yeah.
I've seen her in the gym just to recognize her, but she's got a very good following.
She does.
And that's to her prowess and pride. There's somebody who teaches in deep water exercise.
Oh, that's Sally Gerhard.
Yeah, and I met somebody, one of the gentlemen who's a resident, and he thinks she saves her life. He just thinks that the sun
That's so
rises and sets
cool.
in her, and I
That's great
didn't
to
know her
hear.
name at all, so I looked it up and found
That's
out who
great.
she is. Yeah,
That's a
so
great compliment.
she's got a good reputation.
I'll let her know.
It's really
Related
sweet.
it to her, yeah. Yeah, okay, it's very complex, and I try to find my way through this. I've got a better grasp of it now, but it is quite comprehensive, and I can see where it takes a lot of your time, and now Adam's helping you with that. It's quite an undertaking.
Would it, I was gonna say, I mean, this is kind of like jump to the end of the meeting, but would it help? So we want to talk about clubs, because clubs are kind of a different, a little bit of a different thing. Would it help also to do something, and we can, you know, put it at the next meeting maybe, something about, like, these are the trainers, kind of their expertise is and what they're training, and make sure we show you the part-time? Would that be something of interest to the
I think if we
committee?
had that access, even, not to memorize, but to look through it, if something comes up.
Kind of highlight what they do.
Yeah.
Okay.
Sphere of reference would be very good.
I just wanted to make a comment. I mean, I hope that Jim doesn't get into the thing where we need more space, we need more of everything. That's kind of a thing where when they're crowded classes, people think they need more room. They don't notice when there's many, many classes where there are very few people. I was at a class in the gym yesterday, which was a wonderful class with 3 people in it in the gym for 50 minutes. And I
What was
said,
the class?
Way, it was at 11:05, Ash.
Ash,
Yeah, I was gonna say
It was
something
it was a
Ash.
great class. There were 3 people. She said, I said, it's a great class. I love it. Either we should get more people or really taking up the gym is a lot. She said, well, there's usually more people. That she meant might be 6 or 8. But I'm just saying, it's like the internet. When you're yelling and screaming, that's when people listen. But when you're just kind of doing your thing, people aren't interested in the internet. That's what happens with pickleball. Pickleball has so many, I've been in pickleball, I play almost every day. I've gone to so many classes where there are times where there's not even enough people to do all 4 in the gym, much less the 3 courts outside. But occasionally there's 20 or 30 people waiting, once in a while. And then everybody said, we need more room. We need more room. And that's one of the things I hope we don't fall into. I don't really know that we need more room, but I wouldn't just take it as a given.
So one of the interesting things that it actually was really lovely meeting, and I had to meet with some of the clubs where we knew we wanted to reduce use in pickleball. So they gave up 3 hours, which was great in the gym because we knew we had classes at a certain time. So Bob's class, right? We really wanted to increase that. Sometimes you'll see 3 people, and it's really interesting when you talk to some of the clubs that'll say, and I'm going to give away the club, but we have 650 members. Right? And so the interesting thing about the fitness center, I was talking to another person today. If you look at like the total number of users, they're not the majority of users. We have, 4 times more as many regular users of the gym, of the fitness center. So it's a really cool place where people come to age gracefully, right? And you have a lot of people that are using it to create their own fitness program where they are not part of the group activities. We have really successful, like kind of the softer, more gentler types of, stretching and balance and things like that. And so they're not represented. So sometimes it's okay to have a class with 3 people. Again, it's probably usually a few more, like usually about 6 is
I
a
didn't
good.
say it was okay. I
Right.
just don't want to get into.
No, so just so you know, so staff isn't looking to do this, we're gonna jam pack every class.
Pickleball doesn't really need more courts. We're gonna get 6 courts. We have 5. They don't need it, but they have 600 people who don't play. About 300, at least at max 300 play. So I
Well, you're just poking the bear now. Okay.
I'm just saying it needs to be considered. I'm not, saying.
And I'm just gonna be really neutral, because that's my role here. Yeah, but I just think it was really kind of interesting how, it's just very interesting, the perception, right? And I think I really like this team now, because they really do understand, the fitness center is a place where we can be all things to all people in all skill levels, and they love doing it, and I think we're really fortunate to start in that. We have. See, you got timed out. See, you got called out. She's so good. Just in time. Yeah. Anyway, but more about that. I think talking about use and balance and all that stuff will be, it'll be a pretty interesting conversation to have, because we do need to kind of better define club use in the future. I think we need to take a little bit of a breather on hot topics, but it should come up in a couple of years.
Well, I think using this group, we're more diversified, and so
Yeah.
it's a resource which is very convenient, meets periodically, only every 2 months, but we can bring some input and observation and some thoughts and ideas.
Absolutely.
Very appropriate.
Absolutely. All right. So do you want to go over the data stuff? It's just a couple more pages. Do you want to do this, Jackie? You want me to do it? Oh, you didn't look at that part, did you? You did. Yeah, so I want to say like the last 2-month period, there was like over 700 new users. We're back to kind of about the normal, like this is like in the earlier part of the year. It's a little bit less, and we're going to start seeing it probably get closer to like 400. But we continue to get new people. you're gonna see that Mondays were the busiest day, but there was a little bit of an anomaly in December because holidays throw everybody off. But generally, you know, we know exactly when we have like peak use. It's still the same thing, 9:00 a.m. For orientations and personal training, so the orientations, these are all the new clients. Now, everybody's aware that we wanted to define this because there was a lot of confusion about like everybody in the valley getting 2 hours of personal training. So do the math. 10,000 of you, 20,000 hours, and I have less than that in staff hours, right? Like let's just say everybody called up and wanted to be allocated. So I think this is why like towards the actually it was pretty much after Jackie and Adam joined is when you started doing the group orientations and really focusing, because the orientations, it does make sense, but you want to make sure people know how to safely use the equipment. And sometimes if you're not asking the question, another person will. So we're getting some really good feedback on that. And anybody new, like if you haven't been a user, they get the 2, right? Yeah. Okay. So we may report this differently, but this is kind of showing those orientations. And I think we're tending to get a lot of like the new people come in anyway versus repeat. So hopefully that won't be too impactful. And then these were the days of the week. I can do this because you can kind of see them together. You can kind of see them together. But I always like to show the highs and the lows. Yeah. And honestly, like Mondays tend to be the highest day. You can see in December it was on a Tuesday. And Sundays is everybody's day of rest, evidently, so, yeah. And then again, I like looking at these things because it's always a similar type of pattern for times a day. So we like to get our stuff done in the morning, so you know it's done, and then you go enjoy the evening. Right? I mean, these are how, I mean, not that we're looking, like our staffing level is great, it's solid, it's really becoming filled out. These things are really good to look at, like if in a pinch, somehow there was some crazy thing and we needed to look at, you know, adjusting service levels, like cutting hours. But I can tell you like the hours don't necessarily have anything to do with the overall cost. Just because it's based on, you know, our trainers kind of load during the peak of the week anyway, so which could be an understatement, but it's good for you to have this information on a regular basis. And if for some reason we still have like weekends, like nobody showing up or something, it's a good time to have a conversation. But so this is a nice way just to kind of keep the pulse on this activity. But I don't see this going any place but up in the attraction.
I see a lot more people on the floor just doing their
Yeah.
routine, and especially women.
Okay.
I used to see a lot, I used to say, how can, you know, this be Rossmore, there's only men in the weight area. But now with the trainers on the floor, I think that was a great addition.
And we just added a whiteboard to the front, so on the island, when you're walking through the gates, the island, we're placing it there. We made magnets with every trainer's face on it and their name, so there's a visual there and you can easily see who they are. And each day we're changing the board with their actual floor times for that day, so it's quick use, so you're like, oh, who can I talk to right now? Oh.
There she is, or there he is. Yeah. Now, I assume you're gonna be able to give some kind of a summary of what you reported to Jory so that she can put it in the minutes. It can be encapsulated.
Summary, yeah.
We should have some reference to the fact that you made this presentation and that we had this discussion.
She has. Those are typically in the minutes.
Okay, yeah, I'm
Yeah.
just making sure Jory's under control there because we were changing the subject quite a lot or expanding it before.
I could hear her clicking throughout the entire conversation.
I need to cut my nails.
Can I bring up about the people who don't show up for class? Or tell me when to bring that up.
I think we were talking about it now. It seems appropriate, yeah.
Okay, just 5 people, not the whole set, but they mentioned to me that they were irritated because they were on the waiting list for some of these classes, and then people would no-show and there'd be a space, but they wouldn't know about it, and they wondered if people who weren't reporting that they weren't going to be there, if they did it like 3 times in a row or something, could there be some penalty that maybe they wouldn't be signing up for that class for a month or something.
Yeah, we've been tracking that. We're trying to track with if there's people that don't come to class and they keep on taking up a space.
Do you just sort of call
consistently.
them or talk to them?
Yeah, we would be having that conversation if it becomes too frequent
Okay.
and they're not letting us know and they're just not showing up, because that does impact people. And a lot of the classes do have they fill up that whole wait list and they're
I know.
anxiously waiting to get
I know,
in,
I
so.
know, I know.
Yeah, so we would be having conversations with
Okay,
them.
good. No, I'm glad you're having this conversation. I have just the one thing, for people that are on the aquatics committee, I'm always looking for swimmers to write up, but the lifeguards don't know them that well, when I ask. And you know them probably better than anybody else. So if you would just give their names to me, I would contact them and ask them, they'd like to be interviewed. So you're probably my greatest resource for that.
I don't know them by name either, but I do know them by sight.
You do. When do you usually swim?
Late. I swim like after 5.
But then the people you know are swimming then. So those are the people you know. Okay, well, I'll show up someday, okay?
Yeah, good.
I will. Do you swim every day? Most every,
Not quite every day.
but
Close.
most days? Okay.
Yeah.
Did you have the same kind of timetable when you swam up at Hillside?
I tried to. It was so cold up there that they were,
No, I understood.
the lifeguards were lifting out me as a block of ice.
Oh,
Just
yeah.
kidding. Just kidding.
That's
Just kidding.
brutal.
I did
It's
for
brutal.
a while and then the pool closed. Then the pool closed earlier, so I couldn't. But the answer is yes.
Okay, okay, that would be good. Okay. And anybody else that's on the aquatics committee, if you want to just know someone, really, for years it's been swimming.
Any other thoughts about that, Ron?
This is for your wall of fame.
Ball of Fame, yeah.
Yeah, so she kind of went into publicity,
Yeah,
the
that's
publicity line item, which is great.
Yeah.
Right in
Right,
order.
right.
I swim at a different hour. I usually swim in the morning, like 7:15 till.
Oh, you know those people then?
So what are you looking?
So, yeah, to
Mary
explain
Lou,
what it, explain what it
We're looking for
is.
people that have been really consistent in their swimming, and maybe some people have been swimming for 10 or 15 years. I mean, there's some people here that are really dedicated, they swim like 6 days a week or 5 days a week, or just some of those people.
So there's something that's been called like the wall
The
of
wall of
fame, and it's
fame.
kind, and it's
Okay.
acknowledgement of a particular user. And so we were, just so you know, Ann Peterson, who's the communications director, reached out because this is something that has been tied into communications. And she's gonna come to the next committee meeting to talk about what it is and so she'll also help contextualize it, which will be great. So then everybody can kind of keep their,
Absolutely.
their radar out there and looking for people to identify and
And
recognize.
I like to recommend talking to some of the lifeguards, because they know who's there and.
Oh, because when I speak to the lifeguards, sometimes they say, well, Jack comes in, but I don't know his last name. And then I go to the front desk and we try to go through the Jacks, I mean, it's,
So every Jack that checked in.
Right, yeah.
Yeah, I don't know
So-
about last names either.
But I guess, if you're there, you could ask them what
So,
their
oh,
last
that
name is.
guy's here again today. Well, I see him every.
We'll give you a
week.
photo lineup.
Right,
Yeah.
okay. Do
So
you,
I
do
could
you
just-
swim just about every day, or?
I usually try to go 4 or 5 times. a
Okay,
week.
so you're there like 7:15?
Yeah.
Okay, all right.
How large a group would you say come early? Say-
Oh, I think the early hours at the pool are one of the biggest hours. I mean, at 6 a.m.
I'm
it's
not
like,
surprised.
yeah.
They're lined up outside the door.
I used to swim at 6 and I gave up.
Yeah.
It was just too much. So I come at 7:15 when the pool's almost empty.
That's
Yeah.
fascinating.
And it's like they really come like
Creatures of
boom, they
habit.
want to get
Yeah.
it done and
Yeah.
some people come and do 10 laps and go. Other people come and swim for an hour.
Well, I'm surprised, I must say, to the number of people I meet who tell me, oh, I'm still working. So if you're still working, and maybe your partner's fully retired, but you're working, going early in the morning.
They
is
want to
very
come at 6.
practical.
Yes, yes.
Or late. They also-
Or late, yes, exactly.
When I was coaching, it was the early hours that were the biggest hours.
Mhm.
So it's like, that was a similar age range, except we had like younger people, but we still, that's when the seniors would come. Oh my God, it's early on.
Yeah. Well, I'm trying to find out where we are on the agenda here, actually. No, I know where we
But
are.
you jumped.
I know where we are.
Mary Lou stole your thunder.
Mary Lou's fine.
No, I'm sorry.
I'm messing with you.
But I think on the unfinished business,
Oh, I actually had a question
Sure.
about the usage.
Yep.
goes back on that. And I realize this is probably, well, I don't know, maybe not, probably. I'm wondering if there's any correlation that we know of between new users and new residents.
That would be interesting, because we have quite a few new residents. I was at this end gun violence thing, and several people there had only been here like 9 months, you know what I mean, that came, really. So I'm really impressed.
And I'm not asking for anything to be done, I'm just wondering if. we
No,
do.
you know what though, let's see, there's a way, because the first time they come in, they have to do
You probably
something.
run a report.
Yeah, we actually
years
probably could get
versus,
that pretty easily,
You know, for
like new
2024.
resident, yeah.
You know, if it's not a costly thing, I just think it would be interesting to know,
Yeah.
but, you know,
So
again.
let's see if we can pull that too.
Yeah, if it's easy and not expensive. It just would be interesting to know who we're capturing.
Another thing we interesting to know, like they're always talking about the pickleball group growing. It'd be interesting to know how many of those that grow are new people that just moved in. That would be an interesting statistic, and talk to, Carol about that.
One of the interesting things about pickleball is that now the people who are trying to manage the finances with our capital investments and so on are saying it's particularly important because a lot of people want to come here only if there's pickleball.
Right.
They like the rest of it, but if there's no pickleball.
There is pickleball.
Yeah, I
They
know.
can't say that.
No.
I know they say it.
You're right.
There's 5 courts.
But they're saying that
Gonna have to break each
that
one up.
becomes an important part of why people select to come here as opposed to going somewhere else.
Where else would they go? Where else is there all those facilities we have here?
Oh, I understand that, but if you're biased in one thing and that isn't there, or isn't there to your satisfaction, you might, on the spur of the moment, decide not to do it. Anyway.
People at the public courts always ask me, can I come play pickleball at Rossmore? So it's really difficult to get that happening, but they think Rossmore has the best pickleball program.
Isn't that interesting? Yeah.
That's a good group.
And you're a good judge because you go there almost every day, right?
Almost,
At
like
different
if you guys
times.
swim, I swim.
Well, when you're not swimming.
I try.
I just wanted to say on item number 9 here, unfinished business, we are attending to something to do with water temperatures and we've been consulting on that. Nothing more to say than that, but it hasn't been ignored, that's what I wanted to make the point about. Are there any items of new business that I don't know about that you'd like to raise? We've raised a lot of things already
Is that-
this afternoon.
So just, so when there's nothing under it, you
I
can
know.
just go to the next one, because then we can't put
Well-
something on it we can't put something on it and discuss it because it wasn't agenda.
I just don't like to have it, maybe it by way of announcements. I like to do the communication thing because, as I said earlier, I think we're spread out enough, we're numerous enough, we can make input which might be meaningful to you than doing the planning and the
But
operations.
that would be under the next one.
All right, that's good for that then. So, okay, hearing none, let's look at items for consideration in future agendas. I was the one that asked you about the club things
Yeah.
last time, and I'm very happy that you were able to undertake that. Are there any other items that anybody else would like to add to that? Look around, I don't see.
Are there changes that you're experiencing that you want to see more of a report out on? Like we talked about talking about the different, there's been quite a change of instructors, so talking about them and what they're focusing on, we can do that, maybe bring Adam.
One question I was always curious about, but I don't know. I know there's approximately maybe 10,000 residents of Rossmore. How many of those 10,000 residents pass through the fitness center? How many?
We'll let you know at the next meeting,
Okay,
because I actually want to know that number.
okay, I was just curious about it. Yeah. Thank you.
Because we kind of know unique users per month, but that's not the whole number of unique users, so we can figure that out.
And I've signed in twice in a day, I know, I just, I come back.
I'd like to make a question here, based upon Mary Lou's earlier comment. When the meetings are conducted for new residents, and I think you can go to several of those meetings over the months, who does and what kind of a presentation is made about the facilities and programs that we offer in terms of exercise?
You want a presentation on that?
No, I just want to.
Oh, you just want to
does
know the trainers?
it?
Jackie can tell you.
Are you talking about the center?
The new-
or
the new,
residents,
the new-
Not the orientation, the meetings that are held for new members of the community.
Oh, yeah,
To
yeah,
know what is available for them.
that is done by,
So
Elena.
recreation does one.
yeah, Elena usually hosts it. She usually reaches out to various people, to come within Rossmore that work in Rossmore to come and schedules them a speaker session. So when she does that, she usually asks us to come prepared with handouts, informational
right.
things. She usually tries to line up one speaker per time.
That's okay, as long as the person is.
Yeah. And it's-
Well informed.
Yeah, and it's a good time for the new residents to actually meet each other too, so
That's
they have a little
true.
bit of a community, they have some orders and.
Yeah, and we also did, we're gonna be doing it annually, a new resident fair at the event center this year. I don't know, we had a couple of thousand people come through there. And so it was every division department within Rossmore was there. So you had all the different
Yeah.
MOD divisions, my facility maintenance team, custodial was there, all of the different programs, which was actually really interesting.
I know, for example,
few
the
things.
Trails Club puts on a session for newcomers,
They do.
and they do a whole thing with their first aid and all the organization and the documents and the waivers you have to make, and if you have a guest and so on and so on. I was imagining something like that for all the newcomers, just for the exercise programs that the community offers.
Oh, yeah, that wasn't just for the exercise programs, but I mean, we do have those orientations like very frequently. We offer them several times during each week. I know recently there's been an uptick in people participating in them, and they're actually full each time. Yeah, so it's just a walk-in, but like oftentimes we'll have like all five people show up. Adam or Terry or Nora will be taking them around the gym and showing them everything. So it's very good. Oftentimes, like if you forget to ask a question, somebody else will probably ask the same question you had. So they help each other out.
Well, we actually made it kind of a joke about people coming together. But the fact is, two people, if they meet at a meeting, and one says, I'm gonna go to the gym tomorrow, the other one says, well, gee, I like you, can I go with you?
It's a good way to make some friends.
Feel a little more comfortable
Yeah.
if they're with somebody that they identify with.
You had asked if, has anybody seen anything? So I have actually two questions. One is, do people in their orientations, when they're oriented to the pool, do they hear any of the rules? Pool rules?
I don't think that they're verbally given them, but they do have handouts of the rules right at that table when you enter.
Okay.
And
Here's why I'm asking. I do not see this all the time, but I do see, especially women, I don't think I've seen men do this, run from the locker room to the warm pool. Not, again, this is not like every day, but it is enough. And so I wonder, first of all, it's wet and it's dangerous to do that. And I wonder if they've ever been told, there's no running in here.
Maybe a sign would do
Yeah,
that, maybe a sign.
that should be
A
like,
sign.
they should be telling them to walk please, or like not abrasively like walk or stop running, but walk please is usually.
Of course. So, I mean, it seems like common sense, but I've seen it enough that makes me wonder if there's anything that anyone was ever told about not running in the pool area. And along the same lines, and this is a much more minor thing, but often there's like a, whatever that's called, sandwich board that says slippery or something.
Right.
And then people hang their towels over it and
They should not be using that as a towel.
what?
They should not be using that as a
Well, that's
towel.
kind of why I bring it up. I mean, I'm not trying to take on the policewoman role here, but I am a little.
Well, it's safety, there's safety issues.
Well,
Again,
it is a
there's
safety
Yeah,
issue,
absolutely.
The lifeguards ought to say that, say,
Somebody,
get around your
and I see the lifeguards and bless
did.
their
They
hearts,
did. They
walk
did.
right on by.
Yeah.
So, I love the lifeguards, but somebody needs to say it. or-
David always
The
tells me I
lifeguards
need to
do
have
say
pool
that.
shoes.
What?
David always tells me I need to have pool
Right.
shoes.
Right.
Yeah.
It was a good tread.
Yeah.
So you don't hydroplanes.
So it's just a question of how do we manage that?
Yeah, no, I can definitely talk with them and make sure that they're.
Okay.
They're keeping out people about not putting their towels on signs or places that they're, you know, handrails where that need to be used as handrails and not
Yeah,
towel
right.
racks.
There-
In full disclosure, I think sometimes what happens is, the staff can kind of get maybe into a habit of the path of least resistance, because you know, that issue you're talking about on the sign, I know somebody that just wouldn't let it go, that we moved a towel, even after it was explained to them. So I think sometimes, and so what is changing is we're really trying to, and again, this is like the 1% of residents that
Right.
kind of make it difficult
Yeah,
sometimes.
yeah, yeah.
There's that like 1% and they kind of go all over that boundary in the treatment of staff. So we're trying to tell the staff,
Understood.
do your job. If the response is inappropriate, Jackie will address that
Committee
with the
can't address
resident,
that.
but don't not do your job. We got your back on it. Do your job. So we're trying to coach that into everybody.
Great. And then the second thing, probably easier, is just what's going on with the spa. The spa's been closed.
Yeah,
We didn't hear anything.
I don't know the name of the part that's that.
So we had a
they
pipe
ordered.
that was,
There's a pipe.
that burst. So they have ordered it,
Okay.
and we've been told it's been shipped. It should come in soon, and so as soon as it arrives, our team is gonna be installing it.
Okay.
And
I was told yesterday that it was coming in today in part.
we were hoping today, like, so we know.
No, I talked to one of the lifeguards yesterday and they said it's due in tomorrow when I called.
Yeah, so I think that it's reaching the, because we ordered it through Lincoln Aquatics, so it's due at their facility, and then however fast they can get it out to us is.
Yeah.
kinda up to
Which
them.
is, you know, and I, one of the things I also want to say too is we always have this thing, well, a lifeguard told me, a lot of times, like if you really want to know something like that, like ask Jackie, because operationally the manager knows, and sometimes they'll hear things and they think they're giving customer service, they've now set an expectation. Because now you're gonna think, well, the part they told me it was gonna come in, why didn't it come in? They may not have had the whole information. And so we're really trying to, like, you know, our doors are open, ask us the questions, because we'd rather give you a timeline that maybe you're not as happy about, but that's better than, well, they didn't know, it's taking longer, and it's not, it's within what we know. What I wanna reiterate is this timeline, it's way shorter if we didn't have our facilities team on that we have.
Yeah.
Because we'd be waiting for repair schedules, so.
I have a little comment about that, just 30 years of experience walking on a pool deck. In the old days, in like 70s, 80s, things were kept in town. You could call Lincoln Aquatics in Concord and they would be there the next day with the part. And then they got bought by a conglomerate and everything got moved to Chicago, which was a great idea. They got bought out and now things are coming from all over the place. So that the thing we heard about supply chains during the pandemic, all that stuff, that's a real thing. I mean, you have a need for a part and you call your supplier, Lincoln, and they call their guy and he calls his guy. And then, yeah, we got that in stock, we'll get it to you. And it comes from Germany to Chicago.
Yeah.
And then from Chicago to Salt Lake City, and then from Salt Lake City to here. So things take a lot longer to get resolved than they used to. And but people have not adjusted their frustration levels for that.
Yeah.
You know, and if it's not working today, then why isn't it working tomorrow?
Yeah.
You know, and it was one of the headaches I dealt with on a regular basis in my job. Just trying to explain to people, it's like, it ain't like it used to be,
Yeah.
you know? And
It's the
you know,
truth.
keeping inventory on hand now is really expensive.
Right.
We're
Nobody
global,
wants to do it.
we're
Right.
global, everything
Right.
comes.
It really is interesting.
The other
And
side.
it used to be you could have things delivered on a 90-day billing schedule. And now it's like, you want something, you pay me now, you know? And it's really changed the way we live, basically. I mean, you know, I was in the pool when the hot tub failed, you know? And I was looking over there and I saw some of my friends were in the pool and in the hot tub and all of a sudden they were gone. And then the tape was up and it's like, what the heck happened? You know, and it's like, you know, right away, oh, something failed and, you know, it's gonna be a while. And it's sad, but that's the facts. And the other fact is that the staff is powerless about that stuff. They're relying on other people to supply them things. and they're really not deserving of our ire because of that.
Right.
They often are.
You guys work really well within your limits. You do a good job, and I think most of the staff goes above and beyond all the time. I've seen it. I've never worked with better lifeguards than we have here. So, you know, and I think it's, they're dedicated and they're stressed. And I think it's tough for them. And I think a lot of the younger lifeguards especially don't want to get into it with old people. You know, they just don't want that sense like, again, it's an entitlement thing. Well, I'm older than you, I'm smarter than you, I know more than you do. Why isn't it fixed? Why can't you tell me why it's not fixed? And they don't know. They just don't know.
I think we need to have a short little article, maybe you could write it in the Rossmore News about that. Just, I mean, kind of expectations
Right.
of repairs.
Yeah, I mean, we've been talking about how to put some positive messaging out there to
Yeah,
help the
right,
community
positive,
understand.
positive
Because
way.
it's a little, because again, the vast majority of the community, they're actually really extraordinarily wonderful to us, so
Yeah,
they really are.
but it only takes a couple people to get the seed
Yeah.
planted.
Oh, yeah, they could be
Absolutely.
really rude.
It spreads through, and then everybody's on
does.
your case about it, you know, and it's.
So we were talking about that yesterday.
Yeah.
If we do put something in the Rossmore News, maybe we could also put something in about, you know, respecting the pool rules and respecting the lifeguards who do such a fabulous job.
Well,
And just respecting each other, you know.
the paper might be a good place to put the pool rules.
Well, that's kind of, yeah.
Kind of close to
Nice
here.
little reminder.
Here's
Yeah,
what
that would be
it's
okay.
got to have the pool.
I think that would be valuable.
Are there any other items that people would like to raise with regard to future meetings, our next meeting or other meeting? Had a good discourse. I'm going to adjourn the meeting here, but thank you all for your contributions and cooperation. Hope we didn't flood you with inputs and ideas off the wall here,
Oh,
but
no, no, we like them.
I think that's a good way to communicate. Especially if
We
we want to,
check-
if we want to use the numbers of people that are here,
Yeah.
the years of experience, people like Brian have got, talking about 30 years of experience, and that's very powerful and meaningful.
Absolutely.
Thank you all.
And please,
Thank
all
you,
of you,
Brian.
don't hesitate if something happens up over the next 60 days.
The bees, right?
If things pop up during the next 60 days, you know where to find me. So,
Those are all.
I like visits,
Those
right?
go
I
up
like
there.
people meetings.
Our next meeting is scheduled for